We are back. DFS Rebels. It's your boy, Rob, with Dante. We're going to get straight into it with the week one of the 2023 season. Dante, how you doing?
I am doing good, Mr. Rob. We had a very good debut season last year. What I mean by debut, I mean the two of us together. And we are back for year two, ready to build on that success. So I'm really excited to get back into it.
And we're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right in. First thing, a lot of people have been talking to me about the Ravens game, so I'm going to dive right into that. Obviously, the Ravens defense is going to be popular against CJ Stroud, and well, it should be. I don't trust a lot of Ohio quarterbacks. Um, I mean, I'll take a shot at the Ravens defense. Absolutely. CJ Stroud is going to have to lean heavily on the run game and look to his veteran tight end, Dalton Schultz. Damian Pierce saw a ton of volume in his rookie season, seeing almost 74% of opportunity share. So we're going to see a lot of him touching the ball tomorrow for sure. And you don't need me to tell you to play Lamar Jackson. Everyone knows to play Lamar Jackson. It's a revamped Baltimore offense on a new offensive coordinator. Todd, I might butcher his last name, Munkin. And he's going to bring a much more balanced spread offense. As to like pair people up with, I'm not really sure where to go with that, honestly. If I if I'm using Lamar, I can use him as a standalone. I don't need him to pair him up with anybody. Um, Ravens defense, of course, is great. Damian Pierce will get you the fantasy points you need. Um, what what do you think about that game, or just like defenses in general?
So the Ravens defense is one of my favorite defenses, definitely on this slate this week. And I'm always going to be biased towards the Ravens defense because, my boy Roquan Smith is on there. Roquan Smith is one of my favorite players in the NFL. So I'm always going to be biased towards the Ravens defense. I do like that game a lot, especially for the Ravens side. Lamar Jackson is going to be a great start. The new offensive coordinator already has came out and said that they're going to pass the ball more than they ever did with Lamar Jackson. And that gets me excited about the receiving corps this year, which he had. This is the best receiving corps Lamar Jackson had in his career yet, with Rashad Bateman back and healthy. OBJ's obviously there for a year. Rookie Zay Flowers, who has tremendous speed, and even Nelson Aguilar. So I think all four of those guys could very well make impacts. Maybe not right away for tomorrow, but at least for tomorrow, Lamar Jackson is definitely a must start if you can afford him, among many other quarterbacks. But Lamar Jackson could be a great one. And if you do want to stack, Mark Andrews has been ruled out, so there's always the backup tight end Isaiah Likely, who I know a lot of people are probably going to be on. But I'm kind of looking towards an OBJ stack, and the reason why is because I know OBJ is coming off an ACL tear. And I know it's a very risky play, but I feel like OBJ and Lamar Jackson playing together has been like a long time coming. So I would not be surprised to see them make some serious noise in their debut together.
You know what? I love all that. And yep, like you said, Mark Andrews might not play. And likely, yes, I do like him. But you also got to take a look at that kid Kohler. I do like him. I liked him in college. But I agree with everything you said there. Moving on, I'm loving the Denver game, Denver and Raiders. Um, I'm all over Greg Dulcich. I know a lot of people think Adam Troutman is going to be the main tight end, and that might be the case in like the pass and run blocking. That's why Peyton brought him over there. Um, but Denver needs route runners. Jerry Judy is out. Greg Dulcich is a big body route specialist. He was third on the team in targets per game, third overall end zone targets from Russell Wilson, and that was while Jerry Judy was healthy. So I'm love, and he is super low owned and cheap. So Greg Dulcich, big target of mine. So is Mims. So is Sutton. I think that Denver, that everyone's low owned. Russell Wilson, they're all incredibly low owned. I'm loving that stack against the Raiders' just horrible defense. What do you think about that one?
Now, I'll tell you what, Dolic is definitely a great play. Was one of the few bright spots of that Broncos offense last year, when the horribly bad offense last year. So I do like Dolic, but I'll tell you what, though, I got the DraftKings pulled up right now in front of me, and he's not even number one tight end on the depth chart. Adam Troutman is. Do you like Adam Troutman at all this week or no?
Well, no, so I said Troutman. He's only the number one because he's going to be the pass blocker. he he's not a catcher. He's not. It's that's the Greg Dolis job. So no, I'm completely off the Adam. I think I think people who are going to go on the depth chart and pick him are just picking him because he's on number one on the depth chart and haven't done their studying like what I'm doing right here. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm off him completely.
Yeah, so okay, so I missed that, my bad. All right, yeah, so out of obviously Trotman is cheaper, but then yeah, I do agree with you. Dolish definitely has the more receiving upside. Now, as for other pass catchers, yes, Judy is out, and I do think if we could start a Broncos wide receiver to go along with Russell Wilson's stack, it would be Cortland Sutton because he still is a talented receiver. He's got all the talent in the world, and now what better way to prove himself than with Judy being out. And the only other receiver I'd consider starting, but I'm not playing him yet because he's a rookie, is Marvin Mims. And the reason why I don't really trust any rookie receiver in their debut is because if you look in the last couple of seasons, who are the rookie wide receivers that made noise, immediate impact as of week one? The only two I could think of is Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and they're arguably the top two receivers in the league right now. So I am fading Marvin Mims only because it is his debut. So if you're stacking Russell Wilson tomorrow, either go Cortland Sutton or, like you said, Greg Dulcich, in my opinion.
Love it, love it. And you just mentioned my next target, Jamal Chase. Um, Joe Burrow's good to go. The Browns made a change and they brought in Jim Schwartz at defensive coordinator, and that's most likely going to make Cleveland run a lot of cover one, which last year Chase ranked third in receiving yards, ninth in reception a game, and ninth in targets per game against cover one. So when you're putting Joe Shiesty up against cover one with Jamal Chase, it's just a successful recipe. So Jamal Chase is almost a lock for me. So is T. Higgins. And nobody is looking at Irv Smith. Irv Smith is a fantastic tight end. And you have Joe Burrow thrown to him. Any of those targets, Higgins, Chase, Irv Smith, all fantastic tomorrow. Because Joe Burrow is a perfect pivot off of Justin Herbert, who is the highest owned quarterback on the slate. Uh, do you like anybody else on the Bengals or just like Chase? And then stay. I see. I'm off mixing completely.
Now, I'll tell you what, I hope and I think Burrow will do well, not just tomorrow, but this whole season, because I have him in multiple different fantasy leagues, some of them with the Burrow and Chase combo. So I'm definitely invested in that offense. I think they both have a great year, and I definitely do think that starts tomorrow. There's no reason not to. T. Higgins is a great start as well, and I do like that Irv Smith pick. He's a very sneaky pick because he is cheap. I'm not sure what his ownership percentage is. I don't have that in front of me. But yeah, Irv Smith, I think, is due for a breakout year this year in this offense. My only concern is I don't want to start him right away in week one, and that's because as of right now, I see him as the fifth option on this offense, behind obviously Mixon in the running game and then Chase Higgins, and I'd even put Tyler Boyd ahead of him for now. Now, obviously, I think, and that probably will change over the season, but and if you do want to go different, I do like Irv Smith as a sleeper play, but I'd still look elsewhere for tight end for now, especially if you could pay up to get one of the higher guys. But if that's all you only have that 3,600 left for tight end, definitely go over Smith. That's not a bad play at all.
No, not at all. And next, we were just talking about how good Jamal Chase is against the cover one. Well, AJ Brown is also going against cover one, and I told you how um Chase was third, ninth, and ninth. Well, AJ Brown ranks first in all three of those categories. So AJ Brown is a perfect pivot away from Justin Jefferson and Jamal Chase. They're incredibly high owned, so he's a great pivot when he ranks so highly against cover one. And I mean, it's still the Patriots. Uh, Belichick's coaching, so it still could be tough. But I'll take those statistics and I'll definitely pivot off of some high ownership in some of my lineups to get away from Chase. Even though he's going to be in the majority of my lineups, or I could even run both and get different elsewhere. Um, because Belichick does like to take away your best weapon, and in my opinion, he's going to take away Jalen Hurts' legs, forcing Jalen Hurts to beat him in the air. So that's why I like AJ Brown on that one. Do you like Philly at all, or are you scared of the Belichick defense?
Now, I'll tell you what, I really am not high on anybody on the Eagles offense tomorrow, and that includes Jalen Hurts. Now, Hurts is great, top five quarterback in the league, but I just don't see him, lighting up the stat sheet tomorrow against the Belichick defense. And I know the Patriots don't have any, very little, if any, expectations at all this year because of the division that they play in, and the Eagles are coming off of a Super Bowl appearance, and in the Super Bowl they probably should have won if it wasn't for, in my opinion, a weak call at the end of it. There, say what you want about it, but anyway, so. I just don't see the Eagles lining up the statue tomorrow. Yeah, they should win, but I'll not be surprised to see that game be more of a defensive struggle because both defenses are good. And yeah, obviously the Eagles offense is better than the Patriots offense. Now, if you were to start anybody, I would go AJ Brown, and that's because of the matchups you said, because how good he is against man coverage. I would fade Hurts, and it's only because how high owned he is. So I would definitely look elsewhere for quarterback. Now, if you do want to stack gauge around somebody, then yeah, you obviously start Hurts then, but I'd still look elsewhere and then just add in AJ Brown as like another elite option. So yeah, just my
Yep.
opinion. Yeah.
No, of course, of course, of course. Now, Justin Herbert is the highest owned quarterback on the slate. I'm off him, but I see why. The new offense coordinator is going to make the passing attack much more important than they did last year. So, and that's better for Herbert. That's his game. So that definitely puts Keenan Allen to play. Um, he's had an average of like 18 DraftKings points a game last year, which is just fantastic. He's still a great player. Um, and if you want to go a little cheaper, there's Mike Williams. Um, he's pretty high owned because he's cheap. And if you're looking for cheap, he's he should hit value. There's no reason he shouldn't. So both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both big targets for me. I see it being a big season for Herbert in the air. So I would even lock in both if you're looking to get different. That's definitely not a cash game play, but that's a definitely a GPP play if you're going to rock both of them um, in the same line. Other receivers I do like. I like Amari Cooper. I like Brandon Ayuk. What receivers do you like besides those guys?
So there's not a lot that I could think of off the top of my head. Really, the ones that I like are ones we mentioned already. Like I do like Cortland Sutton a lot tomorrow. Um, DJ Moore obviously is probably going to be high owned, but I do like him a lot because I think he blends really well with Fields, and he already had a couple of big plays in preseasons that really leads me to a lot of optimism that this will be an explosive offense this year. And Fields is, in my opinion, like by far the most talented pass catcher on the team. And staying with the Chicago Bears, I do like Khalil Herbert a lot tomorrow. He's going to be cheaper than the elite running back, and he's definitely going to be number one tomorrow. And he's another one who's known for breaking off a couple of explosive runs in his career in the years past. So I do, I do like Khalil Herbert tomorrow. I even throw in Fields. I know he's probably be high on too because how explosive he could be and because he might be fantasy point machine. But you know what? I do like the stack with Fields and Herbert if you want to get them in the same lineup, or you can go Fields and DJ Moore. So that's a game I'm definitely looking at least for the Bear side of the ball.
Got you. You know, I love that Herbert play. You were talking to me earlier about him. You are so locked in on him. I'm just because of that he's going to be in a few of my lineups just because of you. But other running backs, Nick Chubb. Chubb is the clear RB1 on this slate for me. There's no more Kareem Hunt taking away those 2 minute drill snaps and passing down work. This will be the Chubb's offense all day tomorrow. I'm fully on him. Rashad White. I think there's a really good matchup. He's also he's healthy, he's ready, but I really do think Sean Tucker is going to vulture a touchdown. I think Sean Tucker is a better overall runner than him. But Rashad White should get the bulk of the carries. So either one of them are both in play, both GPP plays, not cash game plays. Same thing over there in Green Bay. Love Aaron Jones. He's a great pass catcher. Um, Especially with Christian Watson out. And Romeo Dubs banged up. But there's also AJ Dillon. He, he doesn't check my box for a clear path to 15 touches, but when the touches he does get, he makes count. He gets everything he needs to. And he's going up against kind of a mediocre run defense, so I think he's going to get plenty of fantasy points and should hit value fairly easily. Do you like any of them or?
Now, I definitely do like that Chubb play a lot. I mean, of course, he's an elite running back, so he's going to be one of the more expensive running backs. But not just for tomorrow, too. This is again for a whole season. Anybody who's got Chubb in fantasy, you guys are very lucky because this is his year. There's no more Kareem Hunt to compete for targets with. He's definitely the clear-cut number one running back on the team. And if Watson really doesn't take a step up as a quarterback this year, especially throwing the ball, then you would think they'd lean run heavy. And then Chubb already proved that he could take on that workload. So Chubb is going to have a great year this year, I think, and that starts tomorrow. So definitely place him in your lineups. And another one we haven't mentioned, but rookie running back Bijan Robinson, he's going to be high owned. He's going to be expensive, but the Falcons, with Arthur Smith already came out and said they could be very run heavy, and Bijan Robinson is definitely the best running back on that team. So I see him getting a large percentage of the workload. And yeah, I know just earlier in the episode I said that I don't trust rookies that much in their debut, but that's mostly for wide receivers. Bijan's a running back. I do think he's going to have the best rookie running back season since Saquon Barkley did a couple years ago with the Giants. So I am all over Bijan this season, and that starts tomorrow.
I absolutely agree with that. The whole offense is going to go for him pretty much. Um, but other running backs I like is obviously the free square of Jamal Williams, even more so now that Kendrick Miller is out. There's not much to say about it. Just lock and load. He's cheap. He's incredibly high owned, but you're going to get different elsewhere. You can get different by playing Brian Robinson. Um, with Washington should be up. They should be up against a team that's predicting to be tanking. So Brian Robinson is cheap. He's low owned. He should hit value fairly easily. They could be running the ball a lot since they'll be up. Um, that's the last running back. There's other ones I like, but he's the last one I really want to talk about. I'm completely off Deion Jackson because I think Anthony Richardson is going to run his own touchdown in if he gets close. I don't think he's going to pass it in the end zone. Uh, Speaking of him, I do like him too. I think he's cheap enough where he's going to hit value. I think he needs like 17 points, 18 points to hit value. And like I said, he's at least going to run in. If he runs one in and throws one, that's value right there. Um, I don't think he's going to have an explosive game, but I think it'll be just enough to get you to where the promised land. Um, Other running backs I like, obviously, I do like Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs, but um, it's gonna be hard to pivot them on some of my lineups. But I think we're good on running backs, right? Probably move on to tight ends at this point, right?
Yeah, no, we got plenty of running backs. But yeah, real quick before we go to tight ends, I just want to bring back up the Commanders Cardinals game.
Hmm.
And like you said, obviously Brian Robinson should have a good impact tomorrow, especially since they're expected to be up and winning the game by the end of the game. So of course they're going to milk the clock with Brian Robinson. But to get all those points first, I do like Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. I like both of them a lot because if you paid any attention to what Sam Howell's done in preseason, he's looked really good. There's a lot of optimism over there. That could be partially because Sam Howell, just because he's got the talent, because he was at one point a highly rated quarterback prospect coming out of the UNC, University of North Carolina. And I
Yep.
do think part of it is also because of Eric Bieniemy as DOC now. But either way, Sam Howell, he's going to be high owned tomorrow. A lot of people are on him because he's going to be cheap. He's playing against probably the worst defense in the league. At least it will be probably this season. So so Sam Howell's going to be high owned. If you want to start him, go ahead, but just use with caution since he's got the high ownership percentage. But at least if you look at his pass catchers too, I do like both Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson to go with him tomorrow, especially Jahan Dotson. He showed a lot of chemistry with Sam Howell.
I love that. And speaking of chemistry, let's talk about tight end Cole Turner. I know Logan Thomas is there, but he's banged up. He's injury prone. He's older. Cole Turner was college teammates with Sam Howell. They have a lot of chemistry together. He's a great end zone threat. I am all over Cole Turner. for the tight end position. Uh, I also I'm really only sticking to Greg Dulcich and Cole Turner. That's really all I'm sticking to. But I'll have a couple shares of likely, um, Kohler, Juwan Dotson, and maybe some Irv Smith in there. But Cole Turner and Greg Dulcich are at least in 80% of my lineups, uh, easily. Um, but a bunch of cash plays I like is Jamal Williams, obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jaden Reed with Watson and Dubs beat up. Um, Likely Commanders defense is my absolute favorite defense on the slate. Besides for ones like the Ravens, New England, Washington should. It's almost like 100% lock. I'm not gonna do 100%, but it's close enough. GPP plays. Tyreek Hill also is a GPP play for me. Sutton, Brian Robinson, AJ Brown. Those are all guys like that's the majority of my lineups have guys like that in it. Which guys are you targeting the most to end this stream on? Like the three guys that you just need in your lineups.
Khalil Herbert, Jahan Dotson, and the third one's going to be a little difficult, but you know what? I'd probably go Nick Chubb. I know he's gonna have to pay up for him, obviously, but I do like Chubb a lot tomorrow, especially with what you said about him earlier. I really am confident about him. But before we do end it, I just want to bring up one more thing because we haven't talked about this game at all yet, and it's the Seahawks Rams game. And I feel like that's an important game too, because first of all, in my opinion, my favorite defense on the slate isn't going to be in that game is the Seahawks defense. Because they're not going to be high owned, they're going to be a little cheaper. But the Rams are without Cooper Kupp tomorrow. So they might struggle offensively. Stafford, I know he's there, but who knows how he's going to look after an injury riddled season last year. There's really not a whole lot of optimism with the Rams in general, especially offensively. So I do kind of like the Seahawks defense tomorrow as like a cheaper, different play than everybody else. Because I know everybody's gonna be on teams like the Niners, Ravens, Commanders. So I do like the Seahawks defense, and just because Cooper Kupp being out next or tomorrow, you know what? Van Jefferson might be a sneaky play, play worth considering too. I mean, obviously, don't start Van Jefferson if you're starting the Seahawks defense, but if you want to really pay out for like a defense like the Commanders or somebody like that, then get Van Jefferson in your lineup. He's not going to be that expensive, and he will be number one since Kupp is out.